right, we are live and welcome back to Wise Wednesday. This is a podcast where we're really trying to go beyond the highlight reel and talk about that real stuff. The struggles, the pivots, the late nights, the moments that make it all worth it. I am your host, Jake Britton. Every week we sit down with creative professionals, business owners, and just out-of-box thinkers to unpack not just what they do, but really how they got there, what they've learned along the way, and the wisdom they've picked up. Today's guest, my cousin, actually, family man, guest who knows a thing or two about hard work and the grit it takes to really grow something that lasts. Bruce Osterhaven is here. He is the owner of Big O Smokehouse, a family-run smoked fish company out of Caledonia, Michigan, built on quality and tradition, working towards national expansion. He's a father, a leader, a man of faith, and practicing that both in business and life, and someone who's just been steering the company through some seasons of changes, some that Wise Bear has been able to take a front row seat with. Bruce brings a lot of raw and honest perspective to what he thinks it takes to build something meaningful and leave a legacy. So, Bruce, welcome aboard, man.
Yeah, thanks, Jake. Appreciate you having me.
Yeah, it's good to see you. It's good to see you. I want to dive right into it. We're all about no fluff here at Wise Bear. We started this podcast really as a way to offer insight into any business owner, entrepreneur, maybe on a journey. So we like to give people a little background journey of our guest. Tell me a little bit about Big O, how it started, the story behind the brand, and then maybe end it with how you kind of got involved with Big O and kind of start
Oh,
there.
all right. Yeah, sounds good. I appreciate it. My great grandpa actually got started in the food business, and then my grandpa Osterhaven started Superior Foods down the road and getting in. It was called Superior Seafoods, and now it's Superior Foods. But being seafoods, that kind of is where saw the need after a while for having a smokehouse, as an outlet to, make more high quality products, but also use up inventory and turn it into, higher value products as well. So he started Big O with my dad, and my dad was basically the operations, and my grandpa was more ideas and visionary on that. So my dad helped get it all going, and yeah, getting the systems set in place and getting the basics of a lot of the smoked fish stuff. So then when I graduated in 2001, then I came on full time and was able to kind of be that counterpart where my grandpa was, to my dad. So helping to develop more recipes and, you know, come up with some different things with whitefish spread or salmon jerky and different things like that. Yeah. And
So you're over
now,
there just playing with food all the time or what?
yeah, yeah, that's what I love for sure. That's the fun part. But now that now I got into more business stuff and the nitty gritty of all that and people problems and all the different things. But I've
Oh, yeah.
I've really come into a different space in the last year of just being able to appreciate that process. There's the frustrations and the things you can't control with people as much as like I can figure out how to smoke the fish and get things under control with all the details, but the people things are a different struggle, but learning to handle that and not let it get you upset and yeah, I don't know,
Oh,
just
yeah.
being at peace with it that's been a learning process, especially over the last couple of years. So
Yeah, you definitely, I think any entrepreneur, any business owners will learn if they haven't already. It's like you can't control people, but you can control how you handle it, and the lessons that you learn along the way, and how you use those to just better yourself, better your business. And I laugh a little bit because I have a pretty tight family myself, but I just can't imagine like working with them, like working with my dad and my brother and all the family intertwines that you got going on over there. I mean, Superior Seafoods, Big O, it all kind of coming from your grandpa, and then all three of you guys, grandpa, dad, and yourself, all kind of working on Big O together at one point. Now to you running the ship. I gotta imagine there's a little bit of a family tiffs going on behind the scenes when it comes to running a family-run business. So,
yeah,
um, any funny stories that you want to touch on with that?
there is definitely been just lots of different things, and there's really good positives of, not being able to get away from it. It's kind of like you got to deal with your issues sometimes, but it's, yeah, the family side of it. I don't know. There's
Yeah,
lots of
I
different
got it.
complications that happen, but it's definitely helps you make you all stronger. So
There you go. There you go. When I get, I gotta imagine, right? Like I know, like when you and I've talked about Big O and like the vision of it, especially like when we chatted years ago, a lot more regularly when we were working on some stuff with you guys. There was always this passion behind Bruce, and like I want to, I want to leave something behind. I want to build this up. And when Grandpa's involved, he has a vision for it. Dad's involved, he's got a vision for it. And now it's kind of Bruce's turn. And I think like one thing that's always stuck out with for me with Bruce is, he does want to run and operate it as a family business, and he does want to kind of leave this quote unquote legacy behind. But, what does that kind of mean to you as you're building it and kind of building it now with your, vision? What does that look like to you as far as like leaving a legacy behind?
it's interesting, like with my grandpa, I got the same name as my grandpa, who started Superior Foods. And being able to watch somebody like that made it through so much, it's like a lot of people don't have that luxury. Whereas like I can see the end game and that it's possible and that he did it. And so like for me, it's nice having that as for the goalposts on moving things forward with the business. Having it be my whole, now that I you know, have the decision making power and stuff, it's a larger responsibility. And I've tried to grow myself out of getting myself to a different headspace where I have the growth mindset and not being as I'm missing the word right now, but stingy on it. And just
Yeah,
trying
controlling of
to,
it,
you got to be able to balance.
yeah.
I'm come from the Dutch community, and just a conservative Christian Reformed person, and being able to try to be think outside the box and not be. You got to make smart decisions, but you also if you get stuck in indecision, that's been the problem with me and my dad. Kind of overanalyzing things and never getting off square one. A lot of times you got to just go for it and make the adjustments as you need to. And you can definitely overanalyze things and miss opportunities. And I've done that way too many times. I also getting the right people around me now that I am the decision maker, I do have good people around me that are that counterbalance for me to keep me from I can bounce the ideas off of them and they'll say, hey, they can shoot holes in it and tell me yeah, that's not the best idea there. We better hold off on that one. So,
I absolutely love that. I think like again, any business owner can relate to this like difficulty of just doing it, just making a decision. And I had a mentor like a couple years ago kind of sit me down. He's like, "Yeah, you're doing Wise Bear. It's cool and it's great to see that there's some momentum there, but like, when are you gonna actually do it?" I was like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "When are you gonna like, build the team?" Like you can't just like run, operate, handle all this like, with yourself and a couple of freelance buddies, eventually you got to make it a business. And I was kind of always like, well, if I do that, then I'm not going to be able to like create and I'm not going to be able to just do what I love. He's like, yeah, but you can focus on that so you can free up the time to do what you love, and like I didn't really see that as like the end goal until probably the last couple of years where I kind of reevaluated and I just actually tried what he said, even though I had some second guesses on if it was going to work. And, now it's expanded a team and allowed me to, free up some of my mental capacity to focus on some things that I am passionate about, which I think that kind of sounds like some of your goals, right? Like putting the right people in the right seats so you can get back to, doing the stuff in the kitchen and trying new recipes and innovating really. So I think
no.
it's great that's like instead of talking about it, you're actually doing it. And a lot of people do stay in that just kind of talking about it space. And sometimes
Mm,
it's hard to get through that, especially during the tough seasons, like every business, every person deals with stuff, life comes and kicks you and you're still got a business to run. You're still leading a group of people. What's been some tough seasons for Bruce that maybe you faced and had to kind of persevere through it? And how did you get through it?
Oh, yeah, there's been through a whole bunch of different things with life. I guess some of the bigger things were just with family, and my went through a divorce, so dealing with all of that type of situation, there's all kinds of complications and struggles with that, but being able to watch other people, that have been through it before, and getting into that stuff has helped me to try to put things in perspective. But there's a lot with I'm going off the rails with this, sorry. I
No,
lost
not
my
at
train
all.
lost my train of thought, but like my parents have had their health struggles. So my mom has Parkinson's and my dad has dementia. So just in the last few years, and it's been tough to not have them be there to help me, but it's also made me look outside of things for other solutions. Sometimes the things that make it tough also can make you stronger too in ways. So trying to get that in perspective is
Yeah, I
something that
think
I
like I think what blows my mind about some of the topics that you just talked about, because they're heavy, and I appreciate you opening up a bit about them. And we certainly don't need to harp on them, but I think what the takeaway is, like, these tough seasons you face, and you seem to face it with a overwhelming sense of calmness. And maybe you're just really good at hiding the chaos, but it's got to be scary. It's got to be a lot. It's got to be challenging, not just for you, but for everyone around you. Probably mentally taxing. It adds pressure, things like that. On top
mm,
of it, you have a family. You have, a dad, and I know you have what, four kids, right?
you know
Yeah. So like you got the balance and pressures of growing the business, going through the tough seasons. And I know that with your faith and with your values, that you're trying to be a present dad as well. Like, I don't know, Bruce, how the heck do you balance it all?
mhm. Yeah,
Do you balance
there's
it all?
yeah, that's a life struggle because yeah, once you think you're starting to get it figured out, then something else shifts and you gotta go with the punches. But faith is definitely the biggest anchor for me, and there's so much spiritual warfare and different things going on, in our world that my faith, my parents being able to give me that foundation of faith to go back to. There's so much there with the whole spiritual side of things and putting on the full armor of God to be able to face the day. And there's always going to be new challenges and it's never going to be perfect. So that's this new piece that I'm feeling a little bit more in the struggles is just trying to not get into my perfectionist mindset and being type A with everything. But yeah, I know there's plenty of times in the past where I have, you just put on the face and try to make it look all good and be show, but trying to be vulnerable with people is the best way to get through it and to grow. We've had different talks at times, and I know you've been through plenty of stuff too, and being able to talk to other people that have been through it and share your story with them is the best therapy I think there is. So
Yeah.
um,
Yeah, yeah, vulnerability usually is, if you think you don't need to be vulnerable, that usually means you should be, like, rip the Band-Aid and tell somebody about it, trusted confidants or family, friends, whoever you can. And you'd be surprised, as I know for me personally, as I've opened up about my struggles of addiction and divorce and life and hurdles and just, some hard stuff. It's like how many people can actually relate or have gone through it. And then the cycle continues, right? Because like you open up and somebody else comes to you and you can help them through it. And I always say that it is like it's a lot of doing some of that godly work, and like you wouldn't even be able to figure out that you have that gift until you're vulnerable. And I already know from firsthand that your story has inspired others and inspired people. I know that it's inspired me. I look at like just the trajectory of your business, and because I know again firsthand, I was a part of some pretty big changes and some pretty big decisions. But looking back, what do you think one of your bigger, like, I guess, decisions, bigger pivots for Big O was? What's one decision that maybe you feel like changed the trajectory of the business?
I'm not putting my finger on any one thing right now as far as like looking back. There's lots of little things, but I guess at our current point, like I'm to the point where I'm gonna need to make big decisions and just trying to get the facts and not get stuck in the indecisiveness, but trying to have faith and putting my goals and my vision out for my people to see it so that we can take action on it and everybody can be on the same page because that's one of my biggest weaknesses. Is probably, well, my strength and my weakness is I have this big vision where I can see, like, I know how to do it and how we can get there in my head, but how do you get other people on board and how do you get them to be able to see that and get it through? Because of course, I'm not right about everything. So like I might have this grand big plan that I think is the best thing ever, but it's trying to get that vision out and just flesh it out with the team and with other people and all of that. So our goal is to be nationally recognized, in our industry. And then also we want to be able to build this company to do 100 million plus, is like our BHAG, big hairy audacious goal. So that's
Yes.
we want to get there, and I think getting that out there and just getting everybody to see it so that they can have their piece of how the heck are we going to put this how are we going to make this thing happen together.
Absolutely. So now BHAG, okay, I feel like I've heard that before. Where do you get the acronym from? Where does that come from?
I think it's through EOS, like the
Is it EOS? Okay,
employee.
I thought maybe traction. So you guys did EOS as a team, right? Which, if for
Yeah,
people who don't know what EOS is, can you tell me what EOS is, what it stands for?
the Entrepreneurial Operating System. So there's a system, basically it's for the management, but like I think the basic structure is you have your visionary and your integrator. Typically there's a visionary, in any business, and then that integrator has the more analytical mind to put the visionaries, plan in place and work together. But yeah, that's been one of my big decisions, I guess, for the company is spending the money to actually do that. That has helped us. And one of the things that when you get started in that process is they say, it'll start smoking out the issues, so once you start putting things down and getting that plan in place, you can kind of see better what the issues are and knowing that you have the right people on your team. It's not that any person is bad, but like they just might not be a fit for your company, Once everybody can see the vision all the way, they can make the decision whether or not they're in the right place or it becomes obvious, to you and the team, if it's the right place for them, So yeah,
Yep.
that's been
Yeah, so
interesting
it's
going
really like
through
a
that journey.
it's like a blueprint, right? So you do a bunch of workshops, you kind of come up with this blueprint of an operating system for your, for the key people in your company, right?
Yeah. Yep. And I always hope for like this perfect thing that's going to solve all the problems. And like, even within that, like they have a great system and I would recommend it to everybody, but you still got to get your scorecard metric, you got to get your business is different than anybody else's business. So you got to figure out, what are the right scorecard metrics or KPIs or whatever you want to call them to gauge things to, hold people accountable but also to just put it out there so everybody knows what everybody's doing and, it just helps with transparency and expectations throughout the company. So
Yeah. No, I think that's great. And I'm actually glad you brought it up. And because I think any company can benefit from an outside perspective and just challenge your structure and challenge, the positions that you have and, really figure out where you can step out of your own way. I know for me, I struggled with that forever as like, because I think I just have the creative itch. So I wanted to do a lot of the different things, but like, I'm not the best web developer. There's somebody out there that's far better than me. So hiring somebody to fulfill that, was one of the big I couldn't believe how much time I got back, and putting the people in the right seats is I know it's just helped me focus on what I like to do more and focus on, growing the business instead of just having it run me.
Mhm.
Um, I think what's cool about Big O and just like your industry, because yeah, you are smoked fish and you have like I think you do beef jerky and snack sticks and stuff too. And you're a smokehouse though, right? And there's been you can sell your stuff in a lot of different areas, convenience stores and C stores and grocery stores, gourmet markets and things like that. But I do want to talk specifically about one collaboration that kind of came together, and I know that it's getting ready to get launched soon, but you partnered with a local brewery, New Holland, and did a dragon's milk smoked salmon jerky. And I know I was a little bit involved in that and kind of getting that together. But tell me a little bit about how that collaboration came together. Tell the audience. Tell me about when it's launching here.
Yeah, no, you were definitely key on that because I believe you worked for New Holland for a little bit, right? Back in the
Yeah,
day.
7 years.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So yeah, you being able to connect the dots between Big O and New Holland was awesome. So it was cool to have a bigger brand be willing to work with us and coming up with that recipe and putting it together. And I wasn't able to be involved on all the marketing talks because, like you were just saying, that's not my best thing. You are an expert on that area, so nice to have somebody like you to help put that together. But in the ongoing with that collaboration has been great in so many levels. And I know that I heard it somewhere that collaboration is the new currency, is what they say. So like just with the way the world is today, the more you can work together with other people and, come up with these different products and just ways of mixing everything together. It's really fun to be a part of and to do that type of stuff. So I feel like that was,
so
getting that, having you and the whole both the teams put that together. It's like, yeah, that was definitely one of the helpful things to help Big O get a little bit more, recognition, on
yeah,
in
it's
the
all
state of
part of the bigger
Michigan.
spot. Yeah, and it's all part of like that bigger just kind of rolls out, right? You get a little bit of a different audience by collaborating with a larger brewery. It also opens the doors to different retailers, different spaces. And I'm a big believer both for how I operate Wise Bear, but also when I talk to clients, collaboration over competition. There's enough meat on the bone for everyone, and if you partner with people that are complement industry, you can grow a lot faster than if you try to compete with them. I'm
Hmm.
curious a little bit, and I again, I kind of already have that behind the scenes take, but like, what was like? This is the third, maybe is this like the fourth year you've done it now, or third? Can't really remember.
Yeah, I think it's fourth or fifth, maybe even already. It's been a
Yeah,
minute.
maybe even fifth. Okay, yeah. Yeah, it's been a
Yeah,
while. Wow.
yeah.
That's
I
awesome. And so
yeah.
like when you're launching that, when you're like developing that recipe, what does that look like? I mean, you pound a 4 pack of dragon's milk and smoke some fish and hope that it turns
Yeah,
out good, or how
yeah,
does Bruce the master chef develop dragon's milk smoked salmon jerky?
yeah, yeah. No, it's definitely just getting putting a base recipe together and, working with everybody. Yeah, once in a while you get it right the first time, but usually there's a little bit of back and forth and yeah, and it's probably better that way if you have the back and forth because then you get to communicate with the other people and you get a little bit more buy-in from everybody, because if
Hmm.
you're trying to force things through it doesn't work the best. Once you start working with everybody and getting everybody involved, there's just that much more energy behind it and can grow a little bit more legs that way.
Do you feel like the collaboration, I mean, collaborating with just different brands, right? Like, obviously, we already talked, like, it helps elevate your brand. It probably introduces you into new audiences. But what would you say to small businesses out there that are maybe like chasing every single opportunity rather than finding right partnerships, whether that be through collaboration or if you're in the retail space, retailers? Is there any kind of high level like advice you would share with them?
um I think it's tricky with the collaborations a little bit because obviously you want to have a good relationship with whoever you're working with to, not have it get into a bad situation where somebody starts manipulating prices or if somebody doesn't have the right heart going into it, then yeah, then you it can turn into something it shouldn't be, but trying to choose those partners and read people. But I would think that's just a rare instance if you have somebody that starts jacking the prices or doing something like that. And that hasn't been our experience. So that's just my ADD mind
Yeah.
jumping to conclusions and creating something. But
I'll
no,
make sure to let the people at New Holland know that Bruce wasn't talking about them specifically. Okay.
no, nope,
Yeah.
they've been
Yeah.
great. They haven't done anything like that. And we've also worked with Twisted Tap maple syrup.
Oh yeah.
We do a maple salmon with that. And yeah, I'm hoping that we can keep getting a couple more going too. So
Yeah,
yeah.
I think it's so super unique for I mean, I'm not like a smoked salmon or jerky expert, but I can't think of other businesses doing those types of unique collaborations locally. And I think it's just you guys do offer a unique product, but it's so approachable by anyone. Like I know the sweet salmon jerky is I mean, every time I see it, I'm buying it because I just like my mouth starts watering. And like every time I've introduced it to the people to that product, they always say, and I don't plant the seed, they always say, "Yeah, this is the best I ever had," which was funny because I know that's your guys' mantra. That's your
Yeah.
slogan, the Big
Yeah.
O, the best I ever had. And people really do believe that. And I think it's because you guys your emphasis on quality and what you guys do. And you know, yeah, you're getting bigger and you're totally scaling and I think that's awesome. And you have this big vision for scaling it into your $100 million company or 100 million unit company and national brand. How do you, as you kind of have this mission and the vision of the company, and you also have the values, how do you kind of keep it all balanced? You know, while you're trying to scale, stay grounded in
Um,
being the best you ever had while keeping going and growing.
yeah, I don't always keep it balanced. I feel like there are seasons of life where you just need to go nuts too, but yeah, trying to be able to take it as it comes, you got to be able to reel it back a little bit. Like now, my kids are getting into sports and that type of stuff a little bit more, so that's forcing me to step back a little bit, and it's nice to be able to get involved in some of those outside things to take my brain off of things. But yeah, there's definitely different things to try to keep balanced. I don't like the
Yeah.
balance necessarily, but I do think that it's yeah, trying to figure out the ways to keep yourself on track and, to set yourself back to where you need to be to keep your mind right and all of that stuff. I do ice baths and exercise, which I'm not totally balanced on it. I I go a little crazy when I do my ice baths. I always try to push the limits or with exercise, pushing the limits. So it's not really balanced necessarily, but I guess it kind of balances me. So yeah,
Yeah,
brings
it's a
me
good I
back.
mean, that's a good outlet, get moving, and I've done the ice baths enough to know that I don't think they're for me.
Yeah.
How many minutes do you do then? Like, are you in there like 5, 10 minutes or what?
I've done like 14 minutes,
Holy cow, I did like 2
yeah.
minutes and I was dying.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
And yeah, that's where you gotta be careful too, 'cause, it can make your cortisol levels, I think, spike. That's part of my learning curve and my, just testing things out is like, yeah, I try to push it to the limits, but then, yeah, there was a time where I was probably pushing it a little bit too hard, and I'm like, yeah, I need to, 'cause I was too hyped up,
Slower
jumping into
down.
the ice bath, and then it's getting your cortisol levels too high or whatever, so being able to just breathe and do the reset like it's supposed to be. Once you get into the wrong mindset and you're trying to just go longer, then it like it throws you away from what you're actually trying to do. So, but learning that is good for me because I like to always want to keep learning. So,
Always keep learning. That's the goal. There's always something new to learn too. We like to end it with a couple things, but first I want to know like what are you working on right now? You know, whether it's business, leadership, life. What's Bruce up to?
right now, I reaching out to a few mentors. I'm in a CEO roundtable that's pretty cool to be able to get in that with those people. A lot of knowledge coming to the table. I just keep reading lots of books or listening to books. I don't actually read, listen to everything and
Me either.
podcasts,
I'm more of a listener myself. Yeah.
you know. So all the podcasts
But
and
the
audio
CEO
books.
roundtable, yeah, that's all me too. And sometimes I'll buy the physical book, but then I just end up listening to it, like while I'm at the gym or walking the
Yeah.
dog or whatever. That CEO roundtable sounds cool. Is that something here in West Michigan, or is it virtual?
It's a we do meet in person, and it's typically around Grand Rapids. Some of them are from outside of Grand Rapids, but yeah, I just love all those networks. Like I'm in the Family Business Alliance too, and that's been a great one. And like
Yep.
their slogan is cheaper than therapy too. So like, you know, it's when you're with all those people that are in the same situation as you, it's nice to be able to bounce things off and just keep learning from each other.
Oh, yeah.
Um, I would
Yeah, and then
recommend
that, I mean, just like what
getting
we
in
talked
whatever
about
group.
originally, right?
Yeah. What's that?
Sorry, they had a little bit of a disconnection there, but we're basically wrapping up. I think it's good, like what you were saying about just being in that group. Kind of ties into what we were talking about, right? Just like being vulnerable and sharing what you need to, opening up to other people. It always helps get through hard stuff, you know. And I think like being in those networking groups, you can get through so much more. Uh, yeah, you can just get through so much more bouncing ideas off of people and kind of opening up about struggles. So we have a bit of a signature closer here, and it's a little bit of like a guided question, I guess. But if you had to like kind of boil down everything you learned into either a quote or a verse or a core truth, whether it's professional, personal, spiritual, what would that be?
Core truth, I guess.
It's a tough one, I know.
No, yeah, I'm gonna overthink it too much, but the biggest thing for me at this point in my journey and just all the different things is being able to step back and accept people for who they are, and what they bring to the table. Everybody has different skills and abilities. So being able to like truly accept that and meet people where they're at and be open and vulnerable with your communication, just to put it out there. If you have the wrong people around you, then you'll figure it out if you're vulnerable, a lot faster than if you fake it and just try to keep going. So you might as well put it out there and just work with people and do what you can to be as honest as you can so that you got it out there. And yeah, you'll let the chips fall as they may.
Love it. From Bruce Osterhaven himself. I love it. Bruce, it's good to see you, man. Really was. And I'm going to come swing by, pick up some Dragon's Milk smoked salmon jerky, and check out what's going on with Big O real soon. And hopefully you and I can grab lunch or something one of these days, or I'll see you at the family reunion, whichever one comes first, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
sounds good.
Yeah.
We'll put
Yeah.
up a
Well, I
pound of
hope.
salmon jerky for you.
All right. Appreciate it. Well, yeah, thanks again for hopping on. I know you're busy and keep doing your thing with Big O. I know we'll be following the journey. If you want to learn more about Big O, check them out, bigosmokehouse.com. A lot of pictures on there. Wise Bear actually did. We helped with the packaging a few years ago, did some rebranding for them. So it's really fun to watch this brand evolve, as well as I love seeing the packaging in the wild. Every time I do, I'm like, yes, because it looks really good. It came out great and it looks good on the shelf. And seems like it's helping things sell as well. So it's just great to see. It's been an awesome collaboration with Bruce and Big O, and looking forward to more to come. And congrats again on the momentum, man. Keep it up. And talk to you soon.
Love it. Thanks, Jake.
Yep.